Greg De Palma, ultimately, what ended up when this all came, when they decided to, before we even go to that, at the point at which you had made your way into the inner circles of the Gambino family, you were in position to potentially be made. And then your case, your bosses decide to close the case and, just go with what they had. Why would they do that? Why wouldn't they let you go on to become a made member of a controlling mafia family?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question. I was very, very disappointed in that. What happened was Greg De Palma pulls me over and he says, Jackie boy, I said, because I became his driver. So he says, let me ask you a question. You ever been arrested for drugs? And I says, no. So you deal in drugs? I says, I used to, but now I know the life is not allowed. So he goes, good. So you can't have any outstanding drug cases, or you can't have any outstanding drug sales that you got caught in for the last 5 years. So I said, okay, I didn't know where he was going with this. I go, no, I gave that up already. I'm just with you, Greg. That's all. So he says, I'm going to put your name on the list. So I go, what list? He goes, I'm going to have you straighten out. One Amico Nostro to be a friend of ours. So I said, wow, what an honor this is. Of course, I'm taping this. So anyway, so what happened was, come back to the office, and everybody, of course, was happy about this. And we said, this is going to open up all the gates. I mean, here's an opportunity for me to introduce other undercover agents into other fasts. Like, for instance, I could create that in Rochester or in Buffalo. I'm having some trouble there or some business there, and I need to talk to somebody within that family, and Greg will get permission, and we would do it. So we would identify that family, or we could be Kansas City, or wherever it may be. So it opened that opportunity for us. And I told him, I said, good, this is great. And all of a sudden, the Bureau comes back and says, we're going to have a meeting. We're going to shut it down. And I said, that is the most short-sighted thing I've ever heard. I'm not compromised. I'm not at all in a situation of danger. Why in heaven's name would you even utter these things? I said, we should be continuing with this case for so many reasons, because now we have the keys to the inner sanctum. Now I could be in those meetings when they tell me, sit over there because you're an associate. You could sit with us and hear what they're doing, what they're up to. So anyway, they went to shut it down, and of course I lost, but the assistant United States attorneys wanted the case to continue. I wanted the case to continue. The case agent, Nat Parisi, wanted, the undercover unit wanted, but they won. And I just raised my hand and said, do what you got to do. It wasn't surprising, because the experience level of these bosses who, I question, their thinking of, number one, how did you get there? And how can you not see this as an opportunity? And like, are you freaking kidding me? And I said, you know what? It was so disappointing. And I just, we lost, and we rounded up the guys, and we locked up everybody, and they stood there in the podium banging their chest, and, it's very disappointing. And I wrote about that in my book. I wrote how disappointing it was and how short-sighted it was that they would not allow this to happen. But it wasn't the first time that this has happened in my bureau career. I've seen this throughout. And that's why I hate to say this, but to be critical, but there's nothing better than the street agent. These guys are the best, and these women are the best. They work hard. They're out there and stuff. But then when you raise that arm and say you want to be a boss, because that's all it takes to be a boss in the FBI. It isn't that they come to you and say, hey, Jackie boy, you're doing a good job. We're going to, like the mob does, they want to promote you. The Bureau doesn't do that. The Bureau says, oh, you only promote you if you raise your hand. I want to be a boss. Okay, you're willing to move your family? You're willing to go to headquarters? You're willing to move to another place and then back and move your kids? They're not going to go to their proms? Oh yeah, I do it. What kind of selfish reason is that? And then they do it, and they want to start putting their fingerprints on the case. What's your
Right.
experience level? What's your experience level? Have you ever done a case? Have you done an undercover case? Have you ever done a wire? Have you ever been an affiant in a search warrant or whatever? Do you know what it's like in the streets? 'Cause if you don't, you got no business being a boss.
Right.
And
But
this is
they're bureaucrats, and that's what they're getting hired for. Their bureaucratic abilities.
yes,
There's their ability to push shit up and down the damn road.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I know. I'm sorry for cutting you off. I know supervisors who are fantastic guys, like Phil Scala. Like I said, these are hard workers, agents like me, who got tired of seeing what's around them. They became supervisors, and now the Bureau, in its infamous wisdom, comes and says, you know, you've been a supervisor in the drug squad or in the organized crime squad for 10 years. We're going to move you to headquarters. So you got two choices. Either you move to headquarters or you step down. Now, here's a guy with all the Rolodex, all the connections. You're making him step down for what? So he can pencil push down to headquarters? And then you go to headquarters, and what? You're not going to cause any problem there, because if you cause problem, you ain't going to get promoted out of there.
That's right.
And I'm telling you, I value the street agent, and I value supervisors who've been there, done that, and got the T-shirt. And if you haven't done it, don't be telling me what I got to do.
Right.
And that was my reputation. I didn't give a shit half the time. You know, I just felt that I would tell them, and that's what I did in the back of the book. And they went after me. And when I wrote my book and delaying it, I mean, my book was delayed for this little petty stuff that, you know, hey, if you can't do it, move out of the way. Let somebody else who could do it. There's a lot of guys out there who are bosses who've been there and done that and
Right.
got the T-shirt, not these other guys. Anyway, you got me all pumped up now.
Yeah, that's good. Did you ever feel like what you were achieving wasn't making a difference that was worth the risk?
Oh, that's a great question. When they were closing it down, that's when I felt that. But when I was in it, rocking and rolling, I felt good. I mean, I was making a difference. I knew we were going to do it. And all of a sudden, boom, somebody throws a monkey wrench, and you're like, what? And then it became like, what's going to happen next? Like, you know, why am I doing this? This is going nowhere. So, yeah, it's a tough question. I always felt we made a difference in some of the work that we did, but we could have made a bigger difference in numerous cases. Royal Charm was one of them with the Asian organized crime. We should have gone after the drug dealers with the, diplomatic couches. We should have pursued more about the guns. We also have this case here, and there's been several others. But like I said, that's why I kind of like working. I enjoy working dope, because it was us, the agents and the cops, and we had some great guys are working there. And anyway, so that's
Why did you say, seeing that you liked working drugs? Why did you say? Were you fond of saying that drugs fuck up cases? When you said that drugs.
yeah, that great observation. Okay, what happens is when you work in other cases, like for instance, when you work dope is the case. So unless of course 500 kilos are coming in, then it fucked up your case, because you got to take it down. You can't let it walk, right? You can't. And one of the things that we never want to do is facilitate by putting dope on the street, because that diminishes what our role is. So in other cases as well, if you are working, let's say a white collar crime case or something, somebody brings dope, that's going to screw it up too. But especially with dope cases was that if the guy throws a kilo at you or tells you something big is going to happen with dope and you know it, it's your responsibility to take it down with the dope. That's how I feel. You don't want to have that dope on the street, and it'll totally mess up your case. I had a case I was doing in Miami, and one supervisor, never forget this clown, this guy said, I said, we were working this guy and we're pursuing him. He's got a huge money laundering operation. He's dealing in dope. He says, I can go to the street and pick up 1,000 kilos today in Miami. I said, really? Then why don't you do that? Why are we even here? Let's all go in the street corner and buy 1,000 keys. So who are you trying to kid? I said, if you take 1,000 keys, you're not going to take the guy down. You got to take him down. You try to be clever, maybe do the seizure where we do the seizure and then you still on the street and we'll catch you later. But, you know, we definitely want that dope off the street.
Right, right. Did you ever let anybody go that you knew were guilty?
That were guilty? All the guys
That
were
that you did you ever let somebody go like you knew they were guilty, but you
No, but I try to talk people out of it, actually, a couple of times. One of them was this guy, Colombian guy, came to an informant, and informants are, you know, they're horse. They're just looking for money, you know, and they were looking for money. Not all of them. Maybe that was a bad categorization. But anyway, this guy comes over, he goes, I got a guy who wants to sell a kilo of heroin. I said, okay. Meet with the guy. The guy says, I'm talking to this guy, and I go, this is the first time this guy's doing this. He's clueless. He's telling me about his family. He said he needs the money to pay the rent and all of this. And I'm going, man, you sure you want to do this, dude? I said, well, why do you want to do this? I mean, is there any other way you can work or something? Oh, man, I went, okay. So I wound up arresting him, taking the kilo off him, which, of course, he got on consignment. And he flipped, and we got the other guys. But, you know, you feel bad for this guy because I don't know, he didn't want to get into it. But at the same token is he pushed to do it. And then the other time were the cops. Cops really hurt me. They hurt me right here because they tarnished the badge that we so proudly wear. I mean, these cops were like, I would sit to myself and go, why are you doing this, man? What is wrong with you? You took an oath. I said, you ain't nothing but a common criminal. You're over here running dope for me. You're carrying stolen artwork. You're watching all of this crazy stuff, and it would bother me that one of the guys in Boston I did was Cop of the Year, Cuban guy, Kiko Polito's name, and this guy was a bad hard ass, and scratch your head why he would do that, and not that I wanted him free, but just the thought that why did you choose the life of law enforcement if you're going to be a criminal? Right. Stay a criminal. I respect that at least. But don't be one of us and tarnish our reputation.